Methodology for the review. Overview of the methodology. Relevant literature was sourced for using electronic databases, key journals, websites, reference lists, and advice from key contacts. A two-stage process followed, which involved 1. Screening and coding of studies for the thematic overview, including criteria. See Section 2.2, where the first applied to screen out the studies that didn't contribute sufficiently to answering the research questions. Papers meeting the criteria were read and coded in order to develop a thematic overview to answer the first question. What pedagogical practices are being used by teachers in formal and informal classrooms in developing countries, as the purpose of the thematic overview was to survey the research field and hence descriptive and thematic data were the main area of interest. Thematical studies were included alongside empirical ones, and studies were not assessed on methodological quality at this stage. The process and its result are described in Chapter 3 of this review. Screening and rating of studies for the in-depth review. Studies that met further inclusion criteria relating to relevance and clarity of reporting were then selected for the Stage 3 in-depth review. All studies selected for this stage were empirical rather than theoretical, and both quantitative and qualitative research methods were considered. The studies were rated for the weight of the evidence they provided on two counts: methodological rigor and quality of contextual detail given. Data from the studies ranked higher with regard to weight of evidence were used to address this review's main research questions. Which pedagogical practices in which context and under what conditions most efficiently support all students to learn at primary and secondary level in developing countries? And the third question, how can the teacher education curriculum and practicum and the school curriculum and guidance materials best support effective pedagogy? The process and its result are described in Chapter 4 and 5 of this review. Figure 2.1 shows the process in full detail. User input. In addition to the DFID, other potential users of this review are government ministers, teachers, educators, educational researchers, NGOs, foundations, and other development partners. Representatives of these users were directly involved through an advisory e-user group who comment on the draft initial report and draft final report and responded to inquiries within their area of expertise. In addition, the review team is debated to a wider group of international academics, researchers, and other contacts known to the team, who provided GRAPE and published reports and papers, and who will receive the final report and the aid dissemination. Figure 2.1, filtering of papers from searching to mapping to the in-depth review. One-stage screening, papers identified in ways that allows immediate screening, example hand searching websites. Two-stage screening, paper identified where there is no immediate screening, example electronic database searching. ERIC, BEL, AEL. PsycInfo. Then one-stage screening for the citations identified websites. Title and abstract screening. Total acquisition of full reports. Full document screening. Criterion 1, A1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Full document screening, reports, mapping, in-depth review. Look at the picture closely. searching. 9 electronic databases were searched for relevant literature using a defined search strategy. In addition, 2000 to 2013 volumes of 17 key journals were hand-searched in the websites of key governmental and non-governmental organizations were also searched. Citations referenced in identified papers were followed up, and team members, the community user group, and the team's professional contacts were consulted for recommendation of relevant studies. The same inclusion criteria were applied equally to published and grey literature. Supplementary searches were carried out using Google Scholar in French, Spanish, and Urdu in order to explore the non-English language literature as far as possible within the resources available.